Today the Society welcomes you to our humble home and gathering place for the new message from God. My name is Patricia Summers, and we're speaking to you here from the New Message Sanctuary, which resides at the base of the Rocky Mountains in North America here in the United States. We're right where the plains meet the mountains, and so fitting it is, because this is a mountain to climb. This is a mountain to climb. So let's take a moment to become aware of each other, here and there and here, because we are gathering from around the world, and we've come from many times and places to be here. And let's also take a moment to experience the gratitude I know we all feel for those who have assisted us in making it here. Let's take that moment. I have great friends beyond this world. My teachers are with me. I am not alone. I gain strength from all who practice with me. So I'd like us to take another moment to prepare ourselves for a very special and intimate experience. We are going to have the opportunity in a moment to experience a very important revelation that was just given days ago. And it's entitled itself The Veil of the Messenger. Very intimate, moving revelation. There's perhaps only one or two other people in this room who've had the opportunity to hear it, purely in service to the revelation itself. And from what I know of their experience, it was extremely moving to them. So, and yet, we will also have the opportunity to hear before the veil, the messenger, Marshall speaking about his experience of having just received it. In the first moments after revelation. So we felt it was important because for thousands of years we have all wondered what it was like for our messengers to receive revelation. What was it like for them to be called up those mountains, to be called into those caves, to be called into those forests, those jungles, those dry desert streets crowded with people who had no idea what they were being called to. So this is our opportunity to join our messenger in the cave, moments after revelation has occurred, very close to the experience of revelation, very close to Marshall, to experience him telling us what just happened. This is and he refers to this state as the afterglow of revelation, the afterglow. But before we listen to both these revelations, there's just a thought or two I'd like to offer to you. And this came to me after hearing the veil. and after realizing what's been going on just this year. Okay. So, as many of you know, but I'll say again, and maybe for those of you who are new and just coming here to the New Message Sanctuary, Marshall has spent nearly 30 years receiving the new message from God. It was finally in this year, that the voice of revelation began to speak of its messenger. Okay, so all these years receiving revelation, ever receiving a revelation about dimensions beyond this dimension, about the most minute, intimate detail of human existence, the entire perspective, 30 years, decades and decades. And it wasn't until after all this that the voice began to speak about the messenger. So you can imagine the great mystery that really enveloped him for years about even himself. But too busy was he, too stable, too steady. Okay? Steady, stable. Key attributes of any great messenger. And so these revelations began this year. The mission of the messenger. Understanding the messenger. These revelations, I believe, as I read them out, are being given for a number of reasons, but one of which is to help us get to him. To help us get to him. The rays of initiation. The origin of the messenger. Facing the light of revelation. The circle of the messenger. Walking with the messenger. Lineage of the messengers. The veil of the messenger. And the journey. It's called the journey. So, as I said, I feel here we are at the apex of the revelation, and almost the last to be given are the revelations about the man himself. So, how might these serve us? These might help serve us to get with him. Marshall Vian is 30 years down the road ahead of us receiving revelation. Marshall Vian is 30 years up the mountain ahead of us receiving revelation. When some of you were small children, he was receiving revelation. When some of us were young people in college, he was receiving revelation that far ago. When we were marrying for the first time, perhaps, and having children, way back then, he was receiving revelation. When you were surviving as a provider in the work world, building jobs and careers, making money, taking vacations and holidays, he was receiving revelation. When we were building fortunes and when we were starving, and are still starving, he was receiving revelation. You can imagine the restraint it must have taken for him to stay in that cave, knowing these things were going on. When we were making war across the world, he was receiving revelation. As masses of people fled persecution and death, he was receiving revelation. As storms surged across the world and financial markets collapsed, he was receiving revelation. He just continued to receive revelation. For so long, he has been receiving this revelation. I mean, really, how can the angelic assembly give so much to one man? And how can he stand it? How can he stand it? How can he take it? How can he take it? So stable. So stable he is. So sane he is. I can testify that this man, people ask me, a few people in our town, let's say, because this is not a large city, know something about my husband. And I spoke to a nurse actually on the phone from across our town, and she wasn't supposed to know that my husband had been through some hardships. She wasn't supposed to know that because there are rules around privacy. But she still reached out and just wanted to know how he was. And she said, how did he do it? How did he get through? What was he like? What was he like? How did you do it, Patricia? And I said, well, what was he like? Pure elegance. All the while still receiving revelation and experiencing a challenge to his existence. Stable, consistent. The assembly must know what he can take. So these revelations, I feel, are given perhaps for a number of reasons, but one of which is they're given to us. They're given to us to help us get with him. Because the question is, who will be with him? Who can be with him? Really with him? Who will get to him? By that I mean really join him. Who will make sure he has what he needs? If something happens to me tomorrow, will you please make sure he has what he needs? So let's prepare ourselves to be with him, to sit beside him in his cave as he recovers from revelation, to hear his first thoughts. Let's then prepare to hear the veil of the messenger and the afterglow of revelation. Thank you.